All right, can you hear me now? Is this any better? It's showing that my audio is going out, but it doesn't appear that it is. Okay, you can hear me now? All right, cool. The audio was like, yep, you're good. Sorry, is it duplicated or is it okay? As it turns out, Bluetooth headsets don't go all that great. Okay, hopefully with this. Okay, it was just you, Pieface. That's cool. That is great. We are all good. What major technical issues? Don't know what you're talking about. I run a professional project here. All right, so last chance for everyone to get their guesses in on what our next big project is going to be. We will be getting into it extremely, extremely quickly. In fact, let's do it now. Hopefully, I can get in as long as you see current context. Yes, definitely project team members cannot. So we have Spaceship Earth, we have World Showcase. Hopefully, I'm not giving away with anything on the screen. I don't think I am. Land 1978. Boy, Derek, that is a great, great guess. Stay tuned for the future. All right, once if I'm echoing, I will make a change. All right, hopefully this will be better now. Now that shouldn't be outputting anything. All right, hopefully not duplicating audio now. As I twiddle off and on every single setting. You know, why do I even bother testing? No real reason to bother testing. All right, how about this? Test on this. I think I may have maybe figured it out. All right, cool. Unreal was somehow looping back. All right, again, apologies to everyone. Bluetooth headset, total mess. All right, then I have only 3 words to describe what is coming next. Try to imagine. Welcome, my friends, to Futureport 1986 and Sea-Base Alpha. Thank you so much to Spencer Parks, who I would love to have on the call right now. Unfortunately, I both screwed up the audio and the timing. So he is not going to be able to be on audio. My sincerest apologies, but look at the work that he did for this. It is freaking incredible. I am so happy with this. Spencer Parks is in the chat, so give him all of the love because he absolutely murdered it. Oh, this is the one scene I wanted to make sure we got right. How I should probably turn that off. There we go. Now it's actually how it should look. How freaking good is this? I just want to reiterate that everything you are seeing is a work in progress. Everything is likely to have a little bit of tweaking done. We just wanted to make sure we got this out in the world. I'm heading away for a few weeks at the end of April through mid-May. And so we wanted to make sure we got everyone in here and ready to go. We're going to do a full tour around everything that we currently have. But I mean, just the detail and what Unreal can do. We have the grid, we have the moving water, the work that Spencer put in, just absolutely incredible. All right, so what we're going to try to, yeah, Spencer's been doing this for 3 years. We're going to try to have a follow-up session to really make sure we can do like a proper kind of interview discussion style on everything that we're doing. Again, supreme apologies for some of the technical issues that we're having here. But what we're going to try to do now is, just give me 1 second, we're going to try to do a bit of a walkthrough. So just bear with me for 1 moment. Hopefully this will work out okay. We're going to go beginning to end. Again, everything you're going to see is a work in progress. All right, from the very beginning. So from the Right from the entrance from Future World West, we have our queue area. This took a while. This, I would say, is probably a little bit more my side of the fence in terms of a lot of the kind of images and everything, but this is really where Google image search absolutely crushed it. So we had very, very low res screen captures that I basically took from Martin's Living Seas Complete Ultimate, which is really fantastic, the work that he did, but it was hard finding a lot of these until I used Google reverse image search. And then we were able to, yeah, shout out to Google image search. It freaking rules. This gave us from really blurry images, I'll share them on Twitter later, so much of the actual source images compared to the blurry mess that we had. And I have a reasonable amount of the original images, some of which I'm kind of missing, but it'll give you a good indication of what was really meant to be here. We did hand model the diving bell thing here, whatever it is. That's looking nice and lovely. Sorry, the walking speed is a little fast when you're indoors, so I'm trying to kind of modulate it a little bit. So many great images. Definitely will give you some of the before and after for each of these, but it's really, really turning out great. Very happy with the queue. Hopefully it'll kind of give you the vibes of what it really looked like rather. Good times. All right. Great. So moving through the queue, Nautilus, by the way, looking great. I actually went by these that I want to focus on. The modern mechanics cover arts, the original ones, so back in like the 20s and 30s. Gorgeous. Just absolutely great. Looks really fantastic. There is going to be another diving suit thing behind this little alcove. Definitely going to be there. All right. Now, moving on to the next thing, possibly what I am happiest about in the entire thing. And we're going to see the C's audio may be coming against this in a little bit. If I'm getting drowned out by the C's audio, just let me know because we're still working on the attenuation there. But this pre-show, I am absolutely, it took us just days and days of work. I'm not going to say who gave us a lot of the source material on this, but shout out if you are listening, give you your plaudits if you want that to be known about. But this is incredible. This took forever. Absolutely gorgeous, this projection. I'm so thrilled with how it came out. I tried to match it as much as we could to the original video. Looks really great. Give this a second maybe to reset. We kind of walked in right at the tail end where it's looping a little bit. So maybe not the greatest of timing, but if we give it a second, there it is. There's the reset. It's incredible. Obviously, there's going to be audio that goes with this that I don't believe I've actually installed yet, but we are going to get into that soon. All right, come on, let's get to some of the slides. Just figuring out how to do that like caustic background effect took quite a bit of time. I feel it's these sorts of things that is really what this project is all about. Making sure that we bring the items, the pre-show videos, the signs that no one else really remembers, really make sure we immortalize those because they're really cool. Even all the little bits of detail just are absolutely incredible in OG Epcot. Yeah, looks really cool. Loving it. All right. We will move on because as cool as that is, we will move on through. Again, this is where the audio may get. There we go. All right. So now we're getting a little bit of the C's video. We don't have original source video for this. Let me actually put that down a little bit. Just bear with me one moment. And as Spencer says, the building is pretty important too. Oh, we're going to get to the big part in a second. That's really going to blow people away. This is the artwork that I just kind of whipped up some Friday afternoon. Yeah, I guess it's possible that the C's audio isn't coming in. It's fine. Well, yep, no worries. That's fine. Don't worry about the attraction audio because it's not all that great right now. We don't have a lot of it installed at the moment. Anyway, this artwork, we had one blurry image on what this kind of might have looked in the corner, and I just went through just to kind of build out a little bit more of what I would assume to be wall carpet would really look like above the Theater 2. We're not really, or sorry, Theater 1? I think this is Theater 1, Spencer. I honestly can't remember. We're kind of only really bothering with Theater 1 right now, just because it gives you the better angle into the hydrolators. Maybe down the line we'll also really flesh out Theater 2. Shouldn't take all that much work. Yeah, gotta love wall carpet. So this is not original. We have no real accurate sources on what that would have looked like, but wanted to give it a little bit of color along with what we think it would look like. All right, of course, one of my top two favorite areas of all of the living seas, the transition into the hydrolators. Spencer has done truly remarkable work in the hydrolators themselves. We're going to make sure we get that up and running. We don't have those really installed as of yet, but from what it looks like in Blender, it is going to look fantastic. Definitely going to be a highlight of the entire pavilion. Again, love the water effect, love how the rock work kind of bleeds into the actual built area. Really gives you some great place setting. All right, we are going to move through. Even love the texturing. Spencer did a great job in being able to come up with these, like the little diamond plate on the floor. All right, we are going to move through. Again, will be hydrolators, not quite yet, but speaking of our next plaudits, we have Trumbull, who created the absolutely wonderful looking Seas vehicles. We just kind of sketched in the placement and the movement of this today, so don't expect this to be final by any means, but these look absolutely beautiful. So shout out to Trumbull, he killed it. Yeah, sea cabs looking really wonderful. Obviously, we're getting a lot of weird clipping there. It's still a work in progress for everything. Let me just back up because this room is also really great. What I love about it is that it's so dark when you exit the hydrolators and you're just kind of drawn forward. This, as Spencer really pointed out, is before they added like a proper kind of queue area to push people through. And so this is kind of when everyone just had to vaguely push towards this corner, sort of like the Haunted Mansion. So that's pretty cool. Bob, likewise, I also tried to create a version of the C cab, and Trumbull's are way, way better at this point. They look cool. Sizes, yeah, I think I blew it up a little too large, but either way, it looks really, really great. Jason, are people really getting sick in the sea cab of all things? All right, well, maybe they just have a thing about fish. Spencer did an amazing job on this back wall of loading. Looks absolutely beautiful. Love it. All right, we're just going to clip through, or oops, looks like that may have collision on. Well, that's going to make this a little trickier than I thought it would otherwise. We'll see if we can actually walk through here. All right. The tank is by no means even really started, let alone the let alone actually worked out. Just added some really light caustic effect and have some, the top of the water up at the top. Definitely a lot of work. Yeah, we are barely edging through here. All right, we're just gonna push through. You can see through in the skylights. All right. Moving on down, again, you have the caustics kind of bleeding through. We'll work through and just clean up all of this. For a very early stage of the project, it's going pretty well. Can I cut through? Nope, looks like, I can sort of maybe make it through here. Totally forgot to turn off collision. All right, we're gonna push on through. Love the effect on we don't have a whole lot of source material for that. Loving the effect on that center area as well. Yeah, definitely kind of getting crushed. I think that's my biggest concern right now. All right, cool. And through, speaking of weird collision, good, we are able to get through. So that's how short the ride is. It really is pretty remarkable. Looking great. But now we have to get to one of the two highlights. And for this is basically 100% Spencer, the all of Seabase Alpha. I'm just going to try to move as slowly as I can to really let us take it all in. But the walking is so fast, so we're just going to kind of inch forward. Just going to pause here so we can take it all in. So Neil, the question about isn't this the foot traffic? You're thinking of the second floor. This is still where the ride is. On the first floor, still same general location there. Pretty sure you still exit in the same place. They just took over a bunch of the like Theater 2 or Theater 1Q area. Yeah. Seabase Alpha is ridiculous looking. Spencer, last night, by the way, if you see in the upper left-hand corner, I added the kind of caustic effect on the water, which really happy about that. That's my main contribution to any of this. Everything else, all Spencer. Thank you, Pie-Face. Yep, Theater 1. Guess I need to add it to that too. Well, we'll get to that later on today. Seabase looking absolutely incredible. Not really much else to say. Looking great. Let's start with our lockout chamber. We will add the control panel on the side, just haven't quite gotten around to that yet. And some of the water effects we also will need to work on, try to figure out like a bubble effect too. I think would be really, really great. Yeah, the lighting looks really great in Unreal. Unreal is really bringing it along when it comes to interior lighting to match the outside lighting. But this, and I was actually talking to Martin last night, and we're trying to figure out exactly what the lighting scheme was like. I think the purple with a little bit of orange around really is the best view. Right now, in the current, whatever they call Seabase, is like the blues and greens. It just makes it too dark. And I really think this is the best it's ever really looked. Yeah, exactly. And as Chris is saying, they could absolutely bring this back. It's not like anything kind of structurally is missing here. They could absolutely 100% bring this back like they're repainting other miscellaneous areas of world. Just look at that. Ryan Trumbull also did the sea cab vehicle, not a sea cab, whatever it is, the little submersible vehicle. Yep, did a great job on that. Also, we're going with the kind of original 1986 version, which is why you're not seeing some of the other diving suits and vehicles that came in a little bit later. Looking really, really fantastic right now. Yeah, exactly. I agree 100%, Mark, where it's just everything looks so layered and detailed and deep with how they built it. It's right now, it just looks very flat. That's why I tend to not really spend a whole lot of time there yet. There isn't, it looks like I kind of turned those two off. Well, that's a slight bummer. Anyway, we are currently in the process of building out the modules. I'm not going to walk in because I don't think I really added any of the collision in there. But we are adding each of the modules in. I have some of the floors and the ceilings for each of them right now, but that is very much a work in progress because there's a lot of detail. Actually, kind of a bummer because the one over here, maybe I can load it up in a few minutes, is actually where I have the video and some of the other detail. There you go. You can see some of the detail starting to be added. Yeah, so we are looking to add in Jason. Someone actually has created a full perfect 3D model of the gym suit that would have been, trying to remember where it is. It would have been straight ahead, right where we are looking right now in module, I can never get these straight, module 1 delta. Should be in there soon. Yep, no collision, I go falling through, which I certainly do all the time. Looking great. All right. Take a little bit of a walk upstairs. That is not at all completed. Also, Spencer has given me an update for the staircase, just haven't had a chance to install it as of yet. Oh, I didn't know that you actually knew who did that animation, Spencer, for Animated Atlas of the World. Yeah, we do have that installed. It's looking really good. We have a bit of an inside joke, which is that each of these doors were really meant to be kind of like water lockout doors, but they're always, in the open position. So until we actually get the module complete, we've just quote unquote closed them for right now. That's why we have 2A and 2B currently locked out. And as Neil was referencing earlier, this is the descent down to the center tunnel area that you can still walk through, looking out in the work in progress tank. So yeah, that is the majority of the living seas. Think of this as just a preview. as we work on completing other items. And as I said, we're going to make sure we get Spencer on audio once I figure out my horrific technical issues and deal with time zone problems, just to make sure we can have a deeper discussion on all of this. But it's looking wonderful. There are a whole bunch of images we've created that also haven't gotten in quite yet. I didn't know you had source for the C's, Spencer. That's pretty exciting. I probably should have asked you about that. Oh, that's my bad. Well, good. Glad we have actual source for that. That will be wonderful. In terms of release dates, we don't really have anything right now. As I said, I'm heading overseas for a few weeks at the end of April through the middle of May. And we still have a whole bunch of work in just doing all the modules. Think of them as like their own Communicore areas, and there are 6 of them. So definitely a lot to build there. So yeah, it'll be a few months out. Don't expect this to be coming out immediately, but this is certainly all systems go. And I know that in spite of how amazing this looks, some of you may be wondering, well, why did I turn the post-show area off? All right, we'll turn the post-show area off. We can review that in a minute. Some of you may be wondering why we did these C's next, because it is not 1982. It's because Spencer did a whole bunch of work. Anytime I have someone who can actually come with me and I can collaborate with someone, that is always going to be the focus for Futureport. It definitely seemed a no-brainer knowing that Spencer had done so much incredible work and knowing that this could definitely come out in a reasonable period of time. Let's look at it. Looks really wonderful. Yeah, we're probably going to go for manatees because let's be honest, manatees are awesome. All right, we're just going to switch less from the actual walkthrough, more to the fly-through version. Here is Module 1 Charlie, Earth Systems. I can never remember what it's called. That screen ahead, if I was playing this, would be where we had the animated atlas of the world. And for anyone who's on my Discord, this is that great preview shot, as I tried not to give anything away, that I posted yesterday. Look at that fabric texture. Looks fantastic. So yeah, coming along nicely. Let's check out the post-show area. Try not to move too quick and make anyone sick. Yeah, the texture really is nice. I love that fabric effect. Here we have the hydrolators to the exit. We have the living seas kind of post-show exit sign as well. It is all looking wonderful. All right. Well, hope you have enjoyed the seas. Again, I'm probably not going to do like a full Q&A time. Yes, Spencer, Bob, do you mind just whacking in? I think it's discord.futureport82.com. Great community there, all really dedicated to classic Epcot and old school Disney. Yes, most of this floor will have collision, Bob, as of right now. Yep. So yeah, let's try that again. Discord.futureport82.com should give you the permanent link on in. All right. Yeah, and Swamp actually brings up a really, really good point. I really appreciate that. I may reach out to you if you are in the Discord or on Twitter, if you can just drop me a DM. Part of the other reason why we're looking to announce now is apart from a lot of the research that Spencer has already pulled, I may have specific requests like, how does this join in the module? How does this kind of the vertical and the horizontal join together? Just a lot of detailed things about doorways and kind of stuff like that that would still be around. So I definitely may be dropping requests either in the Discord or on Twitter for any just general stuff that I kind of need at this point. So thank you for the shout out there. Definitely may be calling on everyone for some help. All right, well, that is cool. Why don't we transition into the next part of what we're going to be talking about, which is brilliant, Swamp. Love hearing it. Thank you so much for reaching out. Love to get in touch. Let's move on to the second part of what we're really going to be talking about today, and that is World of Motion. Easy to forget that it's now been 3, 4, 5, 6 months. So I guess maybe 3 months that I've really completed most of the work. Then we just had a bit of a pause while we were trying to fix a bunch of stuff. Wanted to do a little bit of a post-mortem. Any Q&A? Feel free to drop any questions into the chat. If you want to preface it just with a capital Q, it'd probably make my life a little bit easier. But yeah, just want to do a bit of a tour through everything because it is a lot of work. World of Motion was pretty intense. It was a massive, unbelievably impressive and detailed pavilion. Just truly, truly incredible. So starting coming up from the exterior, we have the footsteps. Originally, I thought the audio was actually going to map up to this, but from reviewing video and the audio, it looks like they were desynchronized. So yeah, that's what I pretty much have, but I kind of whacked these into the wall and I have them lit up. I'm just doing fly-through mode instead of the walkthrough, so this shouldn't really animate right now. But then we move over to kind of scene two, really the continuation of the footsteps. As you can see, and may as well kind of get this out of the way, we don't really have 3D models for almost anything inside. They're all the audio animatronics inside of World of Motion is just so very, very specific and stylized. I really wanted to make sure that until we can do it properly right, I didn't want to just put like placeholder 3D models that I could find. So I ended up just getting the highest quality source that I could, got a ton of source images, either from Retro WDW. Brian Miles scanned some slides and sent that over, a whole bunch of other sources as well, even pulling directly from Martin's videos, just to try to get the stills. I think the 2D effect, as Bob said, it actually works pretty well. For what we need to do, real happy with how it turned out. C. Mulcahy, yeah, traffic jam is definitely very memory intensive with the amount of stuff that's on the screen. It kind of really just will depend on exactly what your video card is. Very, very GPU intensive. Fortunately, not a whole lot. I can probably do about that with my skill level. That is a skill issue right there. Moving on to scene number 3. We have our raft with a very placeholdery type image, but I did pull in from random Google searches as many CCO old-timey ships that I possibly could for the twiddling background effect. And while we're not really going to, just because the audio issues we're having, probably not going to be able to listen to it quite as well, when you do a ride through, I tried to spend as much time as I possibly could on each of the individual sound effects. So you should get a bunch of layered dimensional audio, and it, I hope, really helps to bring it to life. So we have the guy who is snoring, we have the grunting crocodiles that have a couple of different effects for that. We have audio moving, maybe a bit of a wind effect. So that's like 6 or 7 audio effects just for this little like mini scene. Just take a bit of a side jump. So Swamp, if you were at Epcot tomorrow, I would also recommend 360.futureport82.com. While that is the older version, the old Unreal Engine 4 version, that is a great way that you can actually compare what I created in the model just on your smartphone, so no heavy, beefy computer required, against what you were doing in the actual park. When I was there in February, I spent so much time with my backup phone on 360.futureport82.com, figuring out exactly where I was and actually standing in the exact spot I took my 360 and moving around. It looks absolutely incredible. It is wonderful. Definitely recommend checking that out when you are on site. Question from M. Mori. Hope I have that right. What resources / YouTube sites do you use to learn Unreal 3D and Blender? I pretty much just picked up a few Udemy, Udemy. I'm not affiliated with them at all. Picked up a few Udemy classes, and then I just spent so much time inside of Blender, making sure that I could just learn it, and everything gets faster. It gets easier the more you do, but I'm sure Spencer can attest as well. Sometimes you just have to do it. You just have to actually spend time and make it happen. Yeah, definitely just takes work at some time. So we have the first traffic jam that's definitely connected to the second traffic jam, at least conceptually. And again, we went for flat objects for everything but the elephant because I already had that installed. But even then, I had the structure. For this, we actually had some blueprints. That was nice to base that on. But just the detail work they put into the original audio animatronics, really absolutely incredible. And again, going to the audio, we have the guy kind of grunting and annoyed that he had to just pay for this for the traffic jam to get into the city. Whenever possible, I really wanted to make sure I understood what the joke was in each scene. And as we'll see later on, where I didn't think there was a joke or it's definitely not funny, we may have kind of cut that scene. But let's get ahead of that. One of my favorite scenes, do need to clean up a little bit of the 2D, 3D models here just to remove each of the 3D objects. So that's a point for the future. But yeah, absolutely loving the presenting of the round wheel. Just a great classic scene. As I posted on Twitter a few weeks ago, directly straight, let me actually loop back a little bit. Let's get it right here or so is exactly where you have the launch area for test track. So you would be launching forward straight through it, punched directly in back of the king. So the question from Sketchy Spot, do you map images onto shapes? So, yeah, so what I basically did is in paint.net, so I don't bother having Photoshop, though I probably should, I cut out the exact, well, cutout of what the image looks like, and then I converted it into an SVG. The SVG, you're able to then turn into like a 3D vector, so it's actual 3D. I extruded that a couple of inches, so it should map exactly on. So it's kind of 2.5D, probably the best way to think about it. Obviously, each of the wooden objects I built from scratch. The modeling isn't particularly great, but it gets the job done. Also, it's not really animated, but the staff, I guess we'll call it, it's at least animated and moves up and down. Not Horizon, James. This is World of Motion, our recap. In case anyone did miss the beginning part of the stream for the announcement, definitely recommend going back. Skip the first 5 minutes of audio issues, but recommend going back to the stream on demand when this finishes. Our new pavilion will be the Seas. We're just doing a post-mortem for World of Motion. For the first time, we are seeing, and I truly cannot understate this enough, just like the Seas would not be happening without Spencer's unbelievable work, World of Motion would not have happened without the unbelievable animation, all from scratch, from Mike Ryan. Mike Ryan, unbelievable work. Every animation that you're going to see inside of the, inside of the pavilion is from Mike. Truly remarkable. We have kind of the still images right now just because it's going to be easier on the stream, my frame rate and my poor computer, if I don't actually play it. So yeah, we have the Egyptian scene. Also for the first, well, really the first major time, thank God for Quixel for anyone who is learning, picking up Unreal, and you just need great high quality assets. Quixel and Quixel Bridge are all free as long as you have an Epic account, which you will if you use Unreal. Just incredible. Great, great work. It helped flesh out this scene so much. I pretty much created everything of the background building, the ceiling, all of that. But yeah, everything else looks great. The animation is absolutely incredible. All right, let's get to one of the elephants in the room, other than the elephant in the previous room. Har har. I don't have the weird centaur scene. Uh, it's creepy and weird. I don't think it's funny. It has some really weird, ugly connotations I don't like so much, but most importantly, it's just not funny, so I didn't include it. I wanted to instead focus on Mike Ryan's great work on the urns, and here we have it. So sorry about that. Again, this is the Futureport 82 version, not the Future World 82 version. Bob's asking, how do you spell Quixel, presumably? Quuixel. Quixel's fantastic. Free, direct integration into Unreal. Really lovely. All right, into one of my favorite scenes. We have the Trojan horse, which is currently discounted like everything else in this dumpy used chariot seller. Not, again, really going to play the audio right now, but I recorded some of the audio just myself, like the sped up, really rapid speaking, used chariot salesman voice. We have some source audio we were able to pull. For the audio as a whole, all the narration and the background music, we were very, very fortunate to have the source, the actual source audio itself. Nearly none of, barely any, I should say, of the sound effects we actually had available. So some of those I had to source or recreate. It just took hours and hours and hours to pull dozens of different sound effects to make it realistic. But I'm pretty happy with how that all turned around. It's fun to be free until you hear that song for the 10,000th time. Then it gets a whole lot less freeing. Then it feels more like you're in a prison. But it's okay. I have the sparkle effect on the background, hand created the chariot. It doesn't look amazing, but more or less gets the job done. Then we have the sea monster, which looks absolutely incredible. Did a great work on that with another one of Mike Ryan's animations behind. I basically just whipped up, or I think I may have modified a CCO downloaded ship just to get that across, but obviously the sea monster is the highlight. Looks really, really fantastic. Up, then just give me 1 second. Just going to switch visibility on the next blob. Let's just give this a moment. Welcome to Unreal. What fun times we have. All right, this scene is very, very near and dear to my heart. So I think it was New Year's Eve 21 to 22, we were supposed to be heading to Fiji for our break. And it was kind of during COVID, so everything was miserable. We were dying to go. And 2 days before we were supposed to go, my partner caught COVID and we were not able to go. So we had nothing to do. I was stuck here in semi-quarantine over New Year's Eve. And I was just feeling really down about how this was looking in Unreal because I was trying to like keep the file size down and just try to optimize, but everything was just looking terrible. So I basically said, you know what, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to build this scene out as well as I possibly can to try to actually make it look pretty and do it justice. And after 5 hours of work on New Year's Eve, I was actually really happy with it. And if I couldn't do that, I don't know what the state of Futureport really would have been, or if we would have ever bothered to get into the interior. So this scene, absolutely pivotal to Futureport as a whole. Very important. Love the joke of just Mona Lisa and the half-finished painting. We are missing one audio animatronic here, but otherwise, I think it really looks great. I think I downloaded that flying machine and I just modified it a bit. Yeah, I don't think I actually created that. But yeah, whole scene looking great. A lot of Quixel assets here just to flesh out the props and everything. Looks great. We have the hot air balloon scene. Kind of see the hot air balloon up at the top. This went through a lot of various changes through the project. Again, another case where I feel the 2D. You can really see when we had up close, high quality images for the audio animatronics, and other cases where they're a whole lot blurrier. Definitely another one of my favorite scenes where we have the I don't even know, steam coach. I think it's called a steam coach against the bull. Tried to flesh it out just with some other area details. Created the bridge. This is actually from the original blueprints. We were really, really lucky to have access to that. Another area where I feel the audio really sells it. All right, let's move forward. Dark corner. We get into the, why am I forgetting? The Mississippi scene. And we have the little inside joke, the seashell, which is in honor of my wife, Chelsea. So she's very happy to have something named. Inside of World of Motion, we have the stubborn donkey. Question, do we get more high quality versions of Epcot songs? It kind of varies. Some of them are high quality, some of them are very much not. The big missing one is obviously Universe of Energy, the outside loop. We're hoping that may get released in the next couple of months, however. I built everything on this ship from scratch on the seashell. Chris, you may be thinking about the train scene a little bit later with the sheriff. So yeah, everything on the ship hand built. Pretty happy with how it turned out. Probably still be improved here and there, but we each have the silhouettes that are also spinning around pretty accurately, so that looks good. We have the flickering lights. Very happy with how this turned out. And I probably should actually trigger this in, but we're not going to worry about it right now. The animation that is here, again, Mike Ryan just did a great job. Other big quote unquote omission, we did decide to replace the maybe not aging so well, aged like milk, Native American attack scene, because I really wanted to give Mike Ryan a chance to showcase his work. So he came up with some custom train, just a beautiful transportation themed set of videos that we play here instead with a nice reflection all on the ground. I think it looks really, really wonderful. And another thing I really want to point out, what I just love about doing this project is barely anyone would have even known that this whole thing exists. That this, I guess, fort that would have made sense with the Native American attack scene, I guess, was built there because it was never meant to have a lot of light on it. But we found blueprints that actually allowed me to create this exactly like it is. So you never would have known because there was no attention drawn to it. There was a full fort wall built against this wall, and no one else would have even noticed it. Amazing the work that they did. Nicely done, Mark. Yeah, it's definitely not easy to find. If you're looking for the sheriff, we have my placeholder in the upper left-hand corner. Some of these I was able to pull from the ride, others I kind of had to fake it a little bit. Yeah, the train scene, just incredible, so iconic, so memorable. Created the locomotive completely from scratch. Obviously pulled the images, created the wood effect, stacked all that up, did all the texturing. Quixel is what all the rock works, well, at least I didn't have to create that because it looked so great. Uh, A dot MR. Where did I find the blueprints? Yeah, they're kind of all over. World of Motion doesn't have a whole lot of blueprints available. Oddly enough, one just sold for 350 US that we should maybe actually review if we get some time at the end today and I can actually share my screen appropriately. May want to take a look at that blueprint because there's some weird stuff, maybe a good bookend for this. But anyway, yep, definitely some blueprints available on the internet. Yeah, looks great. I love the train. Great scene. Then, maybe one that isn't remembered as well, but I do love all the jokes. The easy bicycling scene with the dog attacking the guy in the tree. The guy who absolutely 100% looks like Uncle Leo from Seinfeld. So that's 100% his canonical name as far as I'm concerned. We have the, oh, one sec, let me just switch to the next set of scenes. All right, there we go. We have the pretty boy on the unicycle. We have the bulging out bicycle. Then we get into what I would assume everyone considers the highlight of World of Motion in just a few moments. First, we have the garage scene. Pretty much, other than the car that I think I downloaded, everything here, pretty much hand, well, some props, but otherwise all hand built. Then we get into the saloon and blacksmith scene rather. The model for this was just a part of the Mark Davis auction. Not sure how much they really sold for, but they had the model for this, much of this scene. And then the highlight, the traffic jam scene. This was what I was most worried about the entire time, really making sure that this looked as great as it possibly could. Let me just bear with me one second. Just switching windows so I could paste the Discord. Yep, discord.futureport82.com. We can give you some details on signing up on that in just a little bit. Or you can just Google signing up for Discord. You just need to sign up for a new account and you can join. Really great community, as I mentioned earlier. All right, back to the traffic jam. Yeah, there is a ton of stuff here, even apart from all the chickens. We didn't really have blueprints for most of this, so it was kind of just eyeballed as much as we could, but yeah, in some ways, there's not really a lot to say. It was just pouring through all of the materials that I possibly could, getting it as detailed as possible. We are missing a few audio animatronics, but I really wanted to make sure this felt right and probably my favorite part of the audio because I just tried to layer the screaming woman and the different types of cars that were all rumbling and the horses screaming and just everything together. It was all about the audio for me. So important to really get that right. And the screaming horse in the side. How could we forget? Absolutely loved it. Great, great scene. Moving on to the picnic, these are some of the last items that we entered because I think it was Brian Miles who had a great slide that finally gave me a detailed view of the two picnickers, so that was great. Again, not really showing right now, but Mike Ryan has great two additional videos that he put up in that section. This is definitely, this audio animatronic, I would love to get fully 3D on the motorcycle just because of the movement that he does, but fortunately not quite there yet. Hand built the plane. Cars are downloaded, but yeah, the plane, hand built, looks reasonably okay, and made sure I animated each of these flying vehicles, some moving up, some spinning around. Make sure we had that right. Getting towards the end, we have each of the cars along with the videos that took me hours to put together, about 90 seconds worth of audio for each of the respective, I think it was 1930s, 1940s, 1950s, 1960s. I may be off 10 years on that to match each of those decades. Maybe it was 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. Anyway, match each of those decades, hand built the images up at the top. Tried to put all of the, again, detail work that I could on the outside between the white roses and the flowers. Sure, Spencer, go for it. Happy to get that queued up. Just let me know. Car is looking great. Added all of the Quixel luggage to really try to add some detail around that. And just going to kind of move through these. I hand cut all of the video for Speed Tunnel 1 and 2, just from, again, Creative Commons 0 available sources. And happy that we don't have the Tron video, because that would definitely get me copyright struck, seeing as how that happened before. But this is where the Tron audio would be. Let's try to find, or Tron video and audio would be. And then we get to another highlight, of course, center core. The fog sometimes shows, most of the time doesn't. I don't know why Unreal just kind of is flaky about that fog down at the bottom, but tried to get this looking as right as I possibly could. More or less okay with how it turned out. One real confusion that I had in the source is I think they had like placeholder models actually installed, or maybe it was installed somewhere else to give an indication on what it would look like, but they were completely different structures compared to what was actually installed. So that's why I was going back and forth, wondering why nothing matched up. It's because they were different. This is the actually installed version. Just tried to do the blinking lights, and someone, I cannot remember who, I think it may be Defining Disney. I could be totally wrong on that. Apologies. But someone on the Discord actually pitch corrected the center core audio as well to make sure that sounds okay. Also, for whatever reason, in the source narration we have, there's a weird hiccup in the audio at exactly this point, I think. And that's not Unreal or me making a mistake. For whatever reason, the narration itself is a little jank there. Also, for some reason, at some point before or after opening, they actually changed one of the audios. So I may, the narration audio, I should say. So I'm going to try to add like a choose your own, future choice bit around that at some point in the future. So expect that, and I think I may have, okay, hang on, just making sure. There it is. All right. It gets pretty dark in here, so it's easy to get a bit lost. I guess the animations aren't on here, but as we get into the final part, you will have the future car that appears directly to the left. Not a whole lot I really want to mention there. But next, we are going to transition around this corner, at least if I turn this on. All right, there we go. We are going to transition into the exit area and into where we currently are for TransCenter. So that was It's Fun to Be Free. Hope you had fun. We head down into TransCenter with our I am definitely not ready for this. Here's the nothing is working right sign, the sandwich board that I put pretty much everywhere inside of the model. Been getting a couple of questions around this. This is the bypass, basically the right doorway from the World of Motion outside lobby area. And that's where you could both get to the lounge entrance and also bypass the ride to get to TransCenter. Right now, still have some more work to do down there, so I ended up just kind of cutting this off. We have aero test. This It's so funny because this giant turbine thing confused the heck out of me before I realized that there was just a mirror. Like how there's a ride right above it. How could this possibly work? And then I finally figured out, yeah, they probably just used a mirror, and that's what they did. So it was only half a turbine. You barely even noticed. Right, had a question earlier that I totally forgot. Are we going to do the coral reef? Maybe, possibly. It's definitely not a focus, at least for me. We'll talk to Spencer because in so many ways this is his baby. We'll talk about if we're really going to do coral reef. As for the VIP lounge, I really am not intending to do any of the VIP lounges right now. I mainly just want it to be where everyone would have access to. Getting a lot of requests though, so it may be at some future phase of the project. The car, definitely not as detailed as I would like. I am working on the aero test video right up at the top, but that is not yet complete. A lot of what we have in the TransCenter is maybe like 70% completed. I have most of the animation, maybe 80% of the animations done for Tiger as part of Bird and the Robot. If you're wondering why he's called Tiger, it's because it's a Puma robot. Isn't that a cute joke? So animation coming along pretty nicely, although I do need to find something for Bird himself. Cool. Yep. So I agree, Spencer. Low, not off the priority list. I think we're in 100% agreement there. So Bird and the Robot, video, 80% done. Animation, about 80% done. Bird is 0% done. We definitely do not have high quality of either the video or the audio for Bird and Robot. That we're going to have to pull from a recording, unfortunately. Likewise, pulled from a recording, I have isolated it from a video that Martin got from another person, can't remember exactly who, but for the water engine, I've at least isolated the video for each of the, I think it's 8 scenes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nope, each of the 9 different characters in Water Engine. I'd say this is most of the way there. Definitely a little bit of work to go to sync it all together, and would love to get more source video, but not much we can do for that. I've built most of the structure for the TransCenter area, but definitely there's a lot of work left to go here. So there's going to be the moving car here. There are so many different models in the Dreamers Workshop that is just not a priority. So it's going to be incredible amounts of work there. And still working to source a bunch of crappy GM crap box cars from the early 80s that are going to go in the very depressing showroom area. But each of those that you can get are like 100 US each, and I don't really want to spend $600 for kind of depressing, crappy cars. Well, friends, that is pretty much World of Motion. If anyone has any other questions, comments, concerns, sounds like I'm in my training class at this point, but if anyone has any other thoughts or things they want to ask about, by all means, go for it. Yeah, I agree, Chris. Want to make sure that lean machine, because that's one that everyone actually remembers. Maybe kind of doing the same as the audio animatronics. If I can get like a nice 2D model, may just whack that in. Thank you all for the compliments. Really do appreciate. Again, shout out so much to all of Spencer's fantastic work. Yes, please, Spencer, go for it. I will speak for you because obviously didn't quite work out technically the way we were hoping for. Yes, so Spencer is going to post the YouTube channel for more Living Seas stuff. Spencer, if for some reason you can't paste, let me know and I can put it in the, just send it to me over Discord. I can paste it in because I don't know what YouTube does with links. Do you plan to make later versions of the attractions like the Universe of Energy? So the ending date for real stuff as of right now is going to be the opening of World of Motion. That's about as late as I'm going to go. I may toss in occasional 90s concepts, but part of the whole point of this project is to say that everything they kind of did once they started closing down Communicore wasn't very good. So, what I would like to do long term is do my own interpretation of what they should have done in the 90s by actually building on what they had while having more thrilling attractions, like actually integrating a test track without getting rid of its fun to be free. But things like Ellen's Energy Adventure, Interventions, things like that, no plans for that kind of goes against the point of the project. As it is, getting Wonders of Life in there is a bit of an exception, mainly because I had two fantastic collaborators. Thanks so much for everything with Bunny in DFG, Dreamfinder guy. Otherwise, Wonders of Life rather wouldn't be happening. Other collaborators, I'm really bad at remembering, and I need to update my credits. There are just so many. Obviously, Spencer for the Seas, unbelievable work. Trumbull also for so much work on the Seas. Um, check the credits. There's so many others. They did great work. If I'm forgetting, oh, Mike Ryan, of course, he did all the animations. He did a fantastic job. If I am forgetting anyone, my sincerest apologies. I owe so much to everyone who helps out on the project. We wouldn't be here without all of your work. So thank you so much. James, I would also love Horizons because that's my favorite. Still hoping to get in touch with Chris from Horizons Resurrected because if I don't have to start from scratch, it would make so much. Yes, Chris definitely has helped on a bunch. I know, Chris, your most recent work, if I recall, was the Earth Station Center video. That was amazing. That looks fantastic and really brings it together. So many wonderful collaborators. Yeah. Love the World of Motion. So glad we were able to get it up and running. If you have, let's just talk about how you can experience this. You should be able to get this link from futureport82.com if you have a beefy PC to be able to download that and play through it. Or you can go to my own YouTube account, youtube.com, just search for Futureport82. That'll let you find it, and you can get the full ride through. I am still trying to figure out, we are rather still trying to figure out exactly how we can get the 360 video, especially if you have like a 3D headset and pulling that into YouTube. But it's actually really difficult to kind of figure out how to do that and may involve like a week-long rendering time. While otherwise, I can just record the video in real time, which is certainly a huge, huge bit. Want to, I know he doesn't necessarily like being in the spotlight so much, but Gavin doing all the ride systems and so much of the technical work on this, couldn't do it without him. Been truly, truly remarkable. So yeah, stay tuned. As always, there will be updates on Twitter and YouTube. And for any updates, getting question, can I extract the Horizons model from Horizons Resurrected? Yes, I could, but until I get 100% approval from him, I would not do that. I feel that would only get me in a lot of trouble and burn all of the goodwill that I would really have. So until I get 100% approval from Chris to use Horizons Resurrected, I don't really see that as a viable option. Definitely have Spaceship Earth, maybe about 25% completed at this point. Casey, update for the Body Wars audio. Right now, haven't really taken another look at that. So that is something I would still need to tweak. So no immediate plans, but are looking to get that up and running. All right, that's about an hour. I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my day here in Australia. Thank you all so much for joining. Apologies for the audio. We're going to get Spencer on again in another session when I'm back. And yeah, be well. Thank y'all.